not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. He's roaring like a lion. Let hope arise and make the darkness hide. My faith is dead, I need a resurrection somehow. Now I'm lost in your freedom, and this world I'll overcome. My God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. He's roaring like a lion. He's roaring. Let heaven roar and fire fall. Come shake the ground with the sound of revival. Let heaven roar and fire fall. Come shake the ground with the sound of revival. Let heaven roar and fire fall. Come shake the ground with the sound of revival. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. He's roaring like a lion. He's roaring, he's roaring, he's roaring like a lion.
God's not dead.
Let love explode and bring the dead to life. A love so bold to see a revolution somehow. Let love explode and bring the dead to life. A love so bold to bring a revolution somehow.
Good morning and welcome to the King's Report this Friday, September 29th, 2017, 8th year of Chungi, 8th month, 10th day. By the heavenly calendar, I'm your host, Chung Sean Moon, second king of Chuniguk. Let's go first to Tim, the agent elder, for our AccuWeather weather forecast. Tim.
Good morning. It's 47 degrees right now in the Chunigong area, and it's clear, a little bit of clouds. And today we're getting up probably to 67 degrees, so quite a bit cooler than it has been in the past. Tomorrow, late tonight, we're going to get a little bit of rain late tonight and early tomorrow morning, and then tomorrow it's only going to get up to 61, so it'll be even cooler tomorrow. Sunday will be a very pleasant day, a lot of sunshine, and back up to 67.
Alrighty, so it is getting cooler, which is nice.
Yes.
Finally, we have some nice autumnal weather.
Yes. Strangely, it's
Very
going to be a
nice.
little bit warmer in the first half of October.
Yeah, it's very.
It'll
we
be in
have
the
like
70s.
An Indian summer. Oh, we're going to get another heat wave.
Not a heat wave, but it'll be in the 70s the first half of October. That's the forecast
that's
anyway.
nice. That's nice. That's not too bad. That's not as bad as it.
I don't think we're going to have any more 80s for a while.
Yeah, my gosh, we had 80s and 90s. That was ridiculous. That was pretty crazy. Okay, Tim, thank you for that. We have a cool day ahead. I'm gonna have to be stepping out at 7:30 today to get down a train with some of the masters down there and some of the black belts down there in the Henzigos Gracie Academy. So Tim will be taking over at 7:30. But let's go to Jeremiah here. We are here, Jeremiah 32. God's assurance of the people's return in 26, verse 26. The word of the Lord came to Jeremiah, saying, Behold, I am the Lord, the God of all flesh. Is there anything too hard for me? Therefore, thus saith the Lord, Behold, I will give this city into the hand of the Chaldeans, into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. And he shall take it. The Chaldeans who fight against this city shall come and set fire to this city and burn it. With the houses on whose roof they have offered incense to Baal, and poured out drink offerings to other gods, to provoke me to anger. Because the children of Israel and the children of Judah have done only evil before me from their youth. For the children of Israel have provoked me only to anger with the work of their hands, said the Lord. For this city has been to me a provocation of my anger and my fury from the day that they built it, even to this day. So I will remove it from before my face because of all the evil of the children of Israel and the children of Judah, which they have done to provoke me to anger. They, their kings, their princes, their priests, their prophets, the men of Judah, and the inhabitants of Jerusalem. And they have turned to me the back and not the face, though I taught them, rising up early and teaching them. Yet they have not listened to receive instruction. They set their abominations in the house which is called but by my name to defile it. And they built the high places of Baal, which are in the valley of son of Hinnom, to cause their sons and their daughters to pass through the fire to Molech, which I did not command them, nor did it come into my mind that they should do this abomination to cause Judah to sin. Wow. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So we are talking about Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. Babylonian devil worship. And of course the worship of Baal. And you heard that the passing through the fire of Molech, that's the statement, passing the fire of Molech. Those are the fires upon which Molech, the false god obviously, demanded that they pass their babies through. The killing of babies, God says here, of course, is an abomination. Abomination. Not just a carnal sin, not just a grave sin, but an abomination to God. It makes God furious. The killing of babies, which these women would do, because they would be told that they would get blessings through the killing of their babies. Of course, the Baal cult also was a sex cult. So there was, of course, different types of sexual prostitution that were, quote, sanctified by these various pagan cults. You always find this in the pagan cultic traditions all over the world, all over the world. Wherever you have killing babies, you're going to have temple prostitution. They got to get a way to get rid of all these babies that they're having, all these, this free sex culture is creating. And so they create this ridiculous, superstitious, demonic, fantastical justification to get rid of all this human life, which is being created by all this licentiousness. And then they try to make it holy in their own minds because they know it's demonic, trying to justify it in their own mind psychologically. So they have no guilt about it. And that's why, of course, you always see the attachment of this type of baby killing. You even have in Greek mythology, you have stories of Zeus, like splitting babies in half. What is that? One of those stupid, there's one of the Greek myths, one of the gods anyways, is splitting babies in half.
Not Solomon.
No, not Solomon. There's also the Greek god, is it the Greek god, what's the one that actually eats babies? There's one that eats
I don't think
babies.
my Greek mythology
I
got me
believe
there.
it's the god that represents time that eats children.
Kronos.
Kronos, yeah. Kronos eats children. So it just, people have, it's just, you know, sorry for being informed. People have no idea. Different gods have different cultures. They're not the same. Which, of course, the cult of relativism and multiculturalism wants to brainwash people to believe. They're not the same. They have different cultures that are created by them. A civilization that believes in all these wacko mythological gods that are like having, you know, adulterous sex with everything, you know, animals, you know, women, goddesses, you name it. Goddesses that are philandering and sleeping with Hephaestus's wife. I mean, the married men like Hephaestus. Aphrodite did that. So it's just, this is the type of culture they create. It's all a big joke. It's all a big ridiculous hoax to justify satanic behavior. That's Kronos, right? Who's eating babies?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
See that? You guys, pull a picture of Kronos eating babies. This is just the normal thing of the day. This is not new. This is not creative. When you have the celebtards from Hollywood trying to always pretend that they're new because they believe in paganism, it's not new. Being a licentious skank like Miley Cyrus is nothing new. And Paul Joseph Watson has a new video on Miley Cyrus. Maybe I'll show him, maybe I won't. It's just so sick. She's just such a skank. She's such a hoe. She's just such a despicable, leg-splitting, you know, prostitute. I mean, she's so despicable. And the only way, see, there it is, Kronos eating children. See, I mean, just the amount of ignorance and brain-dead idiocy out there. You see the picture on the right there of Kronos eating children? I mean, this is just the reality of paganism. That's why you have, and this is not only from Greek mythology or Roman or, you know, white people mythology. I'm talking about Latin American mythology. I'm talking about Chinese mythology. I'm talking about African mythology. Wherever you go, okay, wherever you go, there is the common strain of the pagan cultures. justification of licentious whoredom and eating babies and killing babies. Because Satanism thrives and enjoys the wicked and the evil. And Satan enjoys destroying innocence because those children one day could potentially grow up to become men and women of God who then will destroy Satan or at least stand up against his kingdom. So Satan takes great delight in murdering them early because he's got rid of them. And then it's all a big joke. It's all these bullying, narcissistic, self-absorbed, demonic, pedophilic bullies that want to victimize things that are weaker than them because they have no strength themselves and they're weak and vapid and empty and sick and mentally deranged and psychotic. They want to get off on not only bullying, literally killing weaker human beings, more vulnerable human beings, as a display or a secret, and they do it in a secret society, so as a secret display and pact with one another about how badass they are. And it's all a big freaking joke. And it's all about, what we can get away with. And it's all about, we're the super elite class. We can get away with murder literally. These people are trash. They're scum. They're disease. They are cancer. They are AIDS virus and syphilis sores. Pussing and oozing with disgusting, disease-filled liquid. They are sick pieces of trash. And this is what paganism gets you. And all the stupid Hollywood libtards and celebtards that try to parade around pretending they're goddesses and gods are disgusting, weak, vapid, empty, hateful, diffident pieces of scum. They're literally the flesh scabs of demons' semen. They are just ridiculous, all right? Ridiculous. And of course, God is warning against this because God hates it. God wants to see his children flourish, succeed, be virtuous, not virtue signal, be actually virtuous, be humble, be righteous, not self-righteous, but righteous in God. He wants to see them build civilization and have, do art and make beautiful families and love him. To create culture and civilization that empowers the next generation to be good. God wants to see this beauty continue forth vertically through the generations. Because he is a loving father who wants to protect his children, and he delights in seeing his children become like him and become strong like him so that they can vanquish and stand over the stupid predators. And so he's in this section, he's talking about these idiot children from Judah and Jerusalem selling out to trendiness and Hollywood libtardness and to these stupid celebtards in, at the time, Babylon, which is basically Hollywood at the time, basically. It's what the young retards thought was so cool because they get to dress around pretending they're gods and have orgies where the women become sluts and filled with 50 puddles of men's semen, and they get to kill their babies after they're inseminated by all these despicable, disgusting pimps. And it's all a stupid joke, and it's all a stupid game. How you can game brain dead girls and families to actually buy into a satanic prostitution ring where they convince moms to give their young daughters to the priests so that they can be priestesses and have perpetual virginity. No, you're selling them to become whores against their will because they're giving them to the priests at 5 years old to be raped and brutally ravaged, to be made soulless, to steal their innocence, to beat it out of them with brute jihadi force, and absolutely crush their will to do anything about their plight. This is the fruit of Babylon, which of course was Hollywood at the time. This is the great civilization of Baal that the crazy libtards in New York City wanted to preserve and bring the temple Arch of Baal to New York City, placing it, where they place it? In front of the town hall, city hall? Let's go pick up that picture of Arch of Baal in front of City Hall, NYC. These people are ridiculous. That stupid arch should be pissed on. That stupid arch should be thrown into the bottom of the sea. That stupid arch should be crapped on by the worst vermin and scumbags in the world because it represents the worst scum and the fake satanic priests who were justifying their exploitation of children and humanity. There it is right there. Okay, there's it right there. Yeah. See? There it is right there. There it is. Okay. The Arch of Baal, which you would pass through to murder your children. Yay! What a trendy and artistic expression. It's so trendy and artsy. Yay! The whole art community has to get behind it because it's so loving. Because it stretches our imaginations and stretches our artistic expressiveness. It's such a beautiful arch, such beautiful curves, such beautiful texture, somewhat resembling all the children that it murdered. But that's okay, past the Pinot Grande, whatever, past the Chardonnay, as we party with our elite friends in orgies tonight and satanic rituals because we think it's all a big joke, that the elites that we worship are literally necrophiles. I mean, how stupid can you be? How idiotic can you be? How much of a slut for power can you be? How much of a ridiculous, poisonous thorn can you be? Well, a whole nation, Jerusalem, Israel, Judah, they all fell prey to it. They all fell prey to the propaganda of Hollywood celebtards. They all fell prey, like the stupid NFL and these stupid followers of a popularity cult that are just trying to be trendy and have no idea what the hell they're even doing. Look at these photo agencies showing only fans that have anti-Trump signs, and they don't show all the other fans that are holding up middle fingers to these idiot NFL players who get paid millions and millions of dollars under the flag of America, which they're pissing on as they don't even stand for the anthem. And yet they stand for God Save the Queen, the British anthem. I mean, what the... These idiots are freaking smoking heroin through their ashtray hole. Okay, they're just ridiculous. They're so ridiculously brain dead, brainwashed, libtard, socially engineered idiots. I mean, it's sad. It's sad because they have so much talent. But they're being used and weaponized to promote social Marxism and stand up against a flag which has created the most prosperity and freedom for all races, creeds, and colors. It may not be perfect. It may not have no stain. It may not be flawless. Well, it's not God. But it has the best history record of creating freedom for all. Minus the slavery, which was the sin, which then, of course, led to the unraveling of the American Constitution, you name it. That's why it's only the growth stage. Oh, Lord, these people just make me sick. And of course, they provoke God to anger. Look at this. It provokes me to anger, God says. They, their kings, their princes, their priests. It's the elites. The elites make this culture. And then they try to legitimize their pedophilia and legitimize their babies killing rituals and legitimize their cannibalism and legitimize their necrophilia. That means having sex with dead people. They try to legitimize it with fake religious cults and then get all the people in on it so that they feel less guilty because everybody's doing it. And then they have free reign, free access to everybody's children. Because they've made everybody collectively sin in on it. Don't you see the psychological behavioral patterns of these super elite classes that always rule over humanity by centralized power? Don't you see a common pattern of behavior? This is ridiculous, and it must piss God off. I mean, it pisses me off just thinking about it every day. I mean, think about God who has to see this crap over years and millennia and millennia and millennia. I think how pissed off God should be. Oh, my gosh, my gosh. All right, we're going to take a break. Let's take a short break, and we'll be right back after I drink some coffee. Stay with us. Maybe it's the coffee that's...
I'm down here at the range today. I just learned a new technique from the father of the .44 Magnum, Elmer Keith. which is called shooting out of the notch, which allows you to make really long distance shots and still have an extremely precise sight picture. So I brought my CW9 car down, and with this little gun, we're gonna shoot this little munchkin at 200 yards up in the hills, applying this technique, and hopefully we'll make the shot. To apply this technique, instead of using the blade of the front sight lined up with the top of the rear sight, I'm going to take the dot of the front sight and raise it up so that it's out of the notch, but I'm still going to keep the front sight on my target. Bringing that front sight up like that is going to compensate for the bullet drop over that excessively long distance with just this little gun. So if applied right, we should be making contact. Let's see how it goes. I saw this shot, so I'm a little bit out of breath because you gotta run to make sure that is what I thought it was, and it was. So while making this shot, from that distance with these white dot sights, it literally would cover the entire target. You couldn't see what you were shooting. So using the Elmer Keith technique, you were able to raise it out of the back notch. I can't breathe. Out of the back notch, allowing you to keep your accuracy, aim, and also still see the target, which is key because it was a hard shot, not gonna lie. But yeah, it went great, and Elmer knows what he's talking about. And for such a small gun to be able to take that hit, I'm very impressed with this. All right, guys, be sure to like and share, and I'll see you out on the range. That was awesome. Hey, can I try that one? Yeah, let's see with the 380. Does everybody have eyes and ears?
Come shake the ground with the sound of revival. Our God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead.
And we are back with some Poha Kyungokgo ginseng jelly. Getting some energy in the morning. Welcome back to King Support. Sen King broadcasting live from Cheonggyeong Palace. Just looking at this 50 cal here. I'm sorry, not this 50. This is the, not the, I'm sorry, not the 50 cal. This is for the Vulcan cannon. That's for the Vulcan cannon. Let's get to our headline news early today. Because we are heading out, I am heading out early today for I gotta train with the high level boys. Finally get to get back to training with them again. Julian Assange says he will provide evidence Russia narrative is false in exchange for a pardon. Of course he should get a pardon. He's the one who helped got Trump elected and exposed all the dirt on Hillary, being tied to Satanism, you name it. Being literally in the WikiLeaks talking about these stupid masses. We need to control them. Talking about literally the iPhone as a surveillance grid, calling it Big Brother. I mean, these things came out through the WikiLeaks, which had never proven to be wrong. Assange is risking his life, literally in captivity, for the last how many years? 6 years? And Trump won't even pardon him. This is a guy that helped massively get him elected. This is a man that absolutely must be pardoned as a real journalist. I mean, Trump was talking about Assange as a hero, as candidate Trump. But as President Trump, he changes from that. Assange must be pardoned. he was showing the reality of Hillary Clinton because he doesn't want to see any more centralized communism. And it's not like he's some holy saint. I mean, I heard that he has sexual, escapades or whatever. It's not that he is a saint, but he is fighting for human freedom. And for humans to be able to have freedom, which is necessary for them to actually, in the end, find God. Okay? WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange has offered to provide evidence that Russian collusion narrative is false in exchange for a pardon from President Trump. The president apparently has not got the message yet. On Saturday, President Trump told reporters that he's never heard of Assange offered to make a deal. Representative Dana Rohrabacher told the Daily Call that Trump is being blocked from knowing about the potential deal with Assange. I think the president's answer indicates that there's a wall around him that's being created by people who don't want to expose this fraud, that there is collusion between our intelligence community and the leaders of the Democratic Party. That's true, and also the Republican Party as well. Don't try to pretend, Dana, that there's no fraud between the intelligence community and the Republican Party because Senator McCain is part of the Senate Intelligence Committee. And he's always throwing monkey wrenches into whatever Trump is trying to do. And he's supposedly supposed to be a Republican. I mean, I'm sick of this two-party duopoly. It's ridiculous. Oh, Lord. The congressman spoke to Chief of Staff John Kelly 2 weeks ago about the potential deal with Assange. The Wall Street reported that Kelly told Rohrabacher to bring the information to the Intelligence Committee. This would have to be a cooperative effort between his own staff and the leadership in the intelligence communities to try to prevent the president from making a decision as to whether or not he wants to take the steps. Exactly! He didn't even know about Arpaio until InfoWars and Roger Stone got it to him. He is absolutely being isolated. There's no question about it. They're trying to control the flow of information or the access to which he can even choose personally what to see, what not to see. They are trying to determine what he sees, what he does not see, taking away his freedom as just a free person. Because if they control the flow of information, just like they do to the public, they know they can shape the information, which will then shape the mentality and minds of the people who digest it. So they know, the president watches Fox and Friends, and so they're trying to slowly change that with new co-hosts and pressuring them through the backdoor channels, backroom chats they have with them, to support the rhinos. Fox News is sounding like the rhino Republicans. More and more. Other than a couple people like Tucker Carlson and Hannity. And of course, Judge Jeanine Pirro. I mean, literally everybody else is on there, sounds like a rhino, sounds like CNN. Have the same talking points. It is just absurd because they know the president, of course, is watching them and they want to control this information and shape, because they already have control of the media and news empire with Operation Mockingbird, which they were given access and control, and the CIA was allowed in to direct the newscasters to promote a anti-Russian, pro-US government message during the Cold War, which they, of course, had as a holdover and continued to utilize. You think those relationships with those journalists just vaporized? You think those relationships with the CIA and the different news agencies just disappeared? Magically, like unicorns appearing in the sky, they disappeared. No, 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 my friends. Once you make a connection into the elite circle, you don't lose the connection, especially if you continue to maintain it. And especially if you're trying to maintain and help and collude with the elite structure to keep it in place, then of course you won't lose that contact. This is utterly absurd and ridiculous. Assange must be let to be a free man and be given safe haven in the United States. He must be given a pardon.
Assange has been in the Ecuadorian embassy in the UK now for 5 years. And
5 years.
he stands accused of rape in Sweden. In the U.S., so far, no charges have been filed against him, but Jeff Sessions, the Attorney General, did say that arresting Assange is a priority, but that has to do with the leaking of information through WikiLeaks and not through any kind of a sexual thing.
Jeff Sessions is a massive disappointment, recusing himself in the crazy, stupid Russia hoax, Russia-tard hoax. Jeff Sessions is not going after Hillary Clinton, even though they're starting to move, finally, a little bit towards it. Thinking about it. Jeff Sessions is not going after all those Democrats that have colluded to rob and rape and tax harvest the people. Why isn't he going after all these Republican rhinos and Democrats who are in these pedophile cults? Yes, because of Trump's directive, law enforcement, without the permission of the Attorney General, law enforcement on the ground, because they've seen a cultural change and they know Trump doesn't like pedophiles and is not going to support radical jihadi terrorism to come in, because they don't only bring bomb terrorism, they bring sexual terrorism. And they know, law enforcement on the ground knows that he's not standing up for this crap culture. And so, over 10,000 pedophiles have been arrested. But isn't it funny how all those pedophiles lead to the larger groups in Washington, D.C.? But unfortunately, Sessions is not going after the kingpins of those because, whoopsie daisy, they seem to be the actual politicians who are in these top rings. And he would have to shame and punish the people he calls colleagues on Capitol Hill. You see what happens with a centralized power? Even though you have honest people that go into it, 30 years later, they've become part of it. They can't see it objectively. They're too beholden to all the networks and friends and the benefits and all the parties and all the stupid inroads and all the, you name it. Oh, because it's our children and my wife is used to a lifestyle. And our children would lose their this or that, access to this or that. It's always the same old ridiculousness. In other news, Americans blame Facebook for fake news. New poll finds. Voters in the poll by a big majority want Facebook to keep foreign powers from running ads during a U.S. election and think Facebook should hold itself to the same standard as other media companies to only publish accurate stories about who gets to decide what's accurate. Oh, yes, Seattle Times, we really believe your polls. We really believe your polls, which you probably did with the people who worked at Seattle Times. Oh, yes, it's a scientific poll, Tim. We interviewed all the liberals at Seattle University. Yes, they all want net censorship. Yes, they all want less freedom. Yes, all the people in America 70%, 73% in fact, want less freedom, want more net censorship, want less opinions to be heard, want only one libtard, celebtard, communist voice to be heard. Yes. Can you believe it? All of America, all of the world, yes, 73%, in fact, by this new poll, says that we must censor any alternative voice. Oh, yes, of course. I'm sure this is such a fair poll, Tim. What do you think about this? Go ahead, Tim. Here, you take over as I have some ginseng jelly. How's that?
Well, I think it's yes. It's polls lost a lot of their credibility when even on the morning of the election last year, they were predicting that Hillary had a 90-some% chance to win.
Yes. They said it was a 97% accuracy
Yes.
rate.
Yeah, and I think
Only a 3% margin of error.
yes.
And she has a 97% chance of winning. Absolute landslide.
Well, a few months ago, we had an article about someone who was
Lord.
pointing out that polls were originally invented or started doing polls to promote certain products. In other words, they were not invented to find out what people think. They were invented to try to control what people think or try to get people to buy certain products. You know, brand X. You want the brand A instead of brand X.
Polls show
Yes.
consumers like brand X
Yes.
versus brand A.
Yes, 9 out of 10 dentists prefer a certain type of toothpaste or something like that.
Not recommended by 9 out of 10 dentists. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the whole reason that the polls are done is to not to find out what people think, but to find out, but to help to steer people towards a certain conclusion.
So of course we're going to believe the Seattle Times and their fake poll, and they actually have an idiot write this fake propaganda. Oh yes. Oh yes. Okay. Everybody among Trump voters, only 29% had a positive view of Facebook, compared with 49% who didn't. The service was more popular with Clinton voters, 44% of whom had a favorable view of the company. Look, whether or not you're a Trump or Hillary Clinton voter, you should be for humanity, and you should be for human freedom. Okay? All you have from Facebook is collusion with China that is oppressing 1.6 poor Asian people who want to be free. They want access to people. He's a racist. He's an Asian hater. He's helping tyrants in Asia oppress poor Asian people whom want freedom and access to the rest of the world. They don't want censorship. They want to be able to choose what sites they go to, what opinions they hear, and at least have a different opinions that they can listen to so they can decide. They don't want to be told what to believe by the state-run pedophile commies that rule over them, Xi Jinping, who wants to be now like Mao Zedong. Slight little problem there. Mao Zedong was a 77 million person murderer. Oh, but that's okay, and that's liberal, and that's trendy. Let's just murder everybody and call it liberal, Tim. There you go. That's the new trend of the day. Utter ridiculousness. New poll shows Hillary Clinton is on the rise and will become next president. New poll shows that Donald Trump is not surrounded by isolationists. New poll shows that Russia admits, majority of Russians admit that Vladimir Putin controls the world and controlled the US election. Oh, Lord, this is ridiculous. Give me a break. Politico, the fascist, commie, left-wing news reporting propaganda machine, says Pence sent lawyer to meet with Mueller over the summer. Oh, the attorney sat down with the FBI special counsel at the vice president's request to express willingness to cooperate with the Russian probe. Vice President Mike Pence's outside lawyer met privately with Special Counsel Robert Mueller at Pence's request last summer, according to a person familiar with the meeting. The meeting, which has not been previously reported, was held at Pence's request to express his willingness to cooperate with Mueller's investigation, the person said. Pence retained Richard Cullen, chairman of McGuire Woods and former U.S. attorney, in June to represent him in the Russia probe. The meeting with Mueller took place soon after Cullen accepted the job. Pence's office, Mueller's office, and Cullen all declined to comment. The White House has repeatedly said it intends to cooperate fully with Mueller's probe and has been providing relevant documents as requested. Mueller was appointed in May to lead the investigation of Russian meddling in the 2016 election and whether the Trump campaign colluded in the effort. I mean, this is ridiculous. This is absurd, okay? This is utter ridiculous. Let's look at even the dumb Steven Seagal, okay? Even the dumb Steven Seagal, who says he taught Anderson Silva, one of the greatest mixed martial artists, the front kick. And it is just a ridiculous hoax of a martial artist who would get his ashtray wiped in actual mixed martial art combat. Okay, even though he's such a ridiculous idiot, and he's actually a Tibetan, can you believe it? In one of the traditions, actually anoint him as a reincarnated Tibetan Lama. I mean, it's like ridiculous, okay? But at least he has some brains when it comes to how ridiculously stupid this whole Russiagate idiocy is. Let's look at Steven Seagal, who I'm not fond of as a martial artist because he doesn't know real fighting arts. Say about the Russiagate idiocy. Even bums like him know that it's not true. All right, I'm having a hard time pulling that up. Let's see if you guys can pull it up. We'll take a short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
$6.58. $6.14. $6.46. Time 471. Hello folks, I'm Justin Moon, the president of Carr Firearms Group, and today I've got the PM40 with True Glow night sights, and look at that, Magna porting. Look at that porting on that. This is our standard PM40 with the day sights, but now this model with the Magna porting and the True Glow night sights. What a difference. The .40 caliber PMs have a reputation for being quite a bit of a kicker. They do kick a lot. And so we put the Magna porting on these PM40s, and boy, what a difference does that make. It really makes this PM40 shoot a lot softer, reduces the muzzle flip, the recoil comes straight back into you, and becomes a very manageable pistol. .658. .614. .646. This time, 471. Hello folks, I'm Justin Moon, the president of Kahr Firearms Group, and today I've got the PM40 with True Glow night sights, and look at that, Magna porting. Look at that porting on that. This is our standard PM40 with the day sights, but now this model with the Magna porting and the True Glow night sights. What a difference. The .40 caliber PMs have a reputation for being quite a bit of a kicker. They do kick a lot. And so we put the Magna porting on these PM40s, and boy, what a difference does that make. It really makes this PM40 shoot a lot softer, reduces the muzzle flip, the recoil comes straight back into you, and becomes a very manageable pistol.
We are back. Welcome back to the King's Report. Second King reporting live from the Chunningham Palace. Check out some of the footage first only shown on the King's Report of us training right after the international meeting with our hitting some AR iron rod training and hitting some pistol training. Here's a little clip from the Queen shot of me hitting the AR different positions. Okay, to the sprawl position, sprawl side position, to the prone position, to the kneeling position, and then to the regular position. Now, I don't, anyways, okay, ready, let's see, ready? Here we go. First view on the King's Report. There we go. So practicing shooting from different positions. Now we practice this during the technical CrossFit training and conditioning training, but now we're actually practicing with the actual live firearm, practicing the safety on and off, all that kind of stuff. And of course, I'm just kind of practicing an expanded and rapid rate of fire. You can hear I missed a couple there because I was pulling too fast. But these are all hitting here. You can hear the bring, right? Okay, so that was 30 rounds. 30 rounds that fast. That's how fast 30 rounds pours out of that firearm. And it's so fast, and it's so controllable. Girls are much more controllable by it. Here's the Queen. She's going slow because I told her just go slow if you don't, if she's uncomfortable with it. She's in a Kaskatami prone position. She's in a Kaskatami prone. That's kind of like a modified jiu-jitsu prone position. She's supposed to jump to the side sprawl. But it's okay, it's her first time with a live firearm. First time she's actually doing it in different positions. And that's why I don't like going to the gun range and just shooting like standing up or sitting in a chair. That's so unrealistic. You gotta practice different positions. You gotta practice even shooting upside down. You know what I'm saying? You gotta practice these different postures. Because you don't know. When somebody's shooting fire, you may have to hit the deck and lay down and shoot, turn upside down and shoot around a corner, literally. So you have to be able to fire from different positions, which is the reason why most of the tactical training centers make you fire from uncomfortable, crazy positions. You know?
Left foot up, finger off the trigger, get ready to fire. Put the
So we're going to be
one
at
of the
least
guns
training
to your
like this
shoulder. Good.
every week after international meeting. And so we get not only our empty hands, jiu-jitsu and MMA training in, not only we get our knife training in and tactical fit training in and other type of weapon training in, but then we also get our actual live fire training in at least every week.
Good, nice, again.
Now the queen she's actually left eye dominant, so she has to actually shift her face. She has to get used to this. She can't just look down the scope with her
Put
right
the
eye.
triangle on the
Okay, she has to actually move her to left eye because she's left eye dominant. But there you can see
a
her.
triangle.
So
Red
she's trying to
triangle.
adjust. She's not used to the air
Good,
yet.
hold ya.
But as she trains, she'll get better. She'll get better. So it's nice to see this.
Huh?
But there she's looking super cute with her
What do you mean I'm with?
cute little plum colored
red triangle, right? The
Fial
glowing
Raven
triangle, put it on the
G1000
guy.
Greenland jacket.
You were hitting him good, good. There you go. Lean forward and tit. Ready,
That's the
go.
Fial Raven hat she got on the trekking trip at Colorado. Doesn't she look amazing with that rifle?
Okay, I'm sorry.
There
Put
she
the
goes.
gun
That was
down.
10 rounds for her.
Safety back on.
All right, so that's her just,
Good,
so
look
she
over
just
here.
gets used to training. There's a thumbs up, there's a thumbs up. Okay, that's so if she gets used to the training. Here's us doing a little pistol training. We just put 2 mags down range because a little bit every week adds up a lot, okay? So I don't want to burn her out by doing like hundreds of rounds per, and she's so tired, she doesn't want to shoot for the next 6 months. We shoot just 1 mag of the AR, and we shoot just a couple mags of the pistol down range. Now this one we're not shooting a steel target. We're shooting the plastic bottle things. Next time I'll get her to rotate around me so you can actually see what I'm shooting. Okay, and as the chief said, practicing changing our magazines out in the front, not bringing back in. Just changing out, dropping here, and changing out with the gun out. Okay, and also I found see that no flinch. You see that thing that I had the magazine popped out a little bit. I had to put it back in, and there was a click, but there was no fire, but there was no flinch. You see that? All right, and then this is the queen with a little better videography here because I'm shooting. All right. Look how stable this camera is. It's amazing. I just shot it right on this phone. See how stable this camera is? Now she was having trouble because she was trying a new shooting technique with both eyes open, as Chief taught us. And I'm starting to get the feel of that, where you actually keep both eyes open and keep the sights in your peripheral vision and fire. Because Chief is saying in the real gunfight, you're not going to have time to aim down the line and line both sights up like you do at a shooting range. He said you won't have time for that. The 1 millisecond, you're dead. So he's saying when he's in Vietnam, the guy's shooting back at him, you have to literally keep your eyes on them. Boom, right there. Boom, like this. You have to keep both eyes on them. So she was trying that technique, so she was aiming a little high. She wasn't used to it. But you have to use your peripheral vision to capture both sights, line them up in your peripheral vision while both your eyes are on your opponent.
Drop it with one
That's
hand.
real self-defense style shooting. So our community has to train the gunners and the gunfighters in our community have to train in that manner, because that is the real way you're going to train in a real live fire fight. You're not going to be able to aim like shooting down a range.
Third round.
There she is. She's hitting us. See, she's hitting the buckets now. Now she's taking she's closing one eye. She said that helps a lot because she's used to that style. So she has to get also used to the style of 2 eyes open shooting.
Good, nice hit.
because it is a different style. It's definitely different than gun range shooting. Very different. But I found it, I started finding a groove. I only did 2 magazines yesterday.
Girl.
So just maybe 14, 15 rounds with my pistol. At least just get some runs through
I
it.
think what was happening on the first round.
Okay?
is you're keeping both
Just
eyes
get
on
some
the target.
runs through it. But I found like the last couple of shots, I was hitting everything. I found that, wow, it was actually, boom, you just keep both eyes open, boom, right here, boom, boom. You keep both eyes open, boom, and your peripheral catches both sights up, but you're keeping both eyes on the guy. Boom, 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 boom. You know what I'm saying? You're keeping both eyes on the guy, and it's much more like real fighting. Like when you're boxing, you're not just, you have to keep both eyes on the guy. You can't just keep your eyes off of them. You know what I mean? And you're using that peripheral vision to capture your 2 front sights, which are lining up in your peripheral vision, but you're not focusing on your sights. You're focusing on your opponent that you're actually trying to shoot. So, I mean, even the gunners in our community, we got to understand, we got to train like it's in the realistic way, okay? And this is a technique that Chief taught us because he was Green Beret and, Purple Heart and, killed many commies in Vietnam. And he was saying it's the battle of milliseconds, because if you're sitting there trying to aim down your front sight and you get a blurred vision of your target. What's more important, seeing the target or seeing your front sight? You can't even, what if you can't get a clear picture of that person and it's blurry if he's even standing on an open field, let alone in a freaking jungle. My gosh. You gotta keep your eyesight where the enemy is. And so that's how Chief taught us to shoot. So we were practicing that technique yesterday. It was a little awkward at first because we never did it. But now practice, I'm starting to get the feel. And by the way, he was a world champion pistol shooter as well in the army. In the armed forces, he was a champion pistol shooter. So this is coming from a pistol champion and a Green Beret and somebody in Vietnam who had to literally gunfight every freaking day. And I tried the technique yesterday, and it works. It works. You just got to get used to it. It's different training than shooting downrange that we're normally trained to line the sights up and keep your eye on the front sight and close one eye. You don't got no time for that in a real fight, man. It's like saying, okay, when you're boxing, close one eye and shoot this jab out because it'll align with your right hand. Then when you cross with the other hand, line your left eye up, and then you don't got time for that crap. You gotta keep both eyes open while punches coming at you. Pow, pow, throwing counter punch. You don't have time for that crap. So this is good because Chief is bringing in this type of realistic shooting system, and I love it. I like it. I put it to use yesterday, trying to test it, and boy, I was hitting those bottles, man. I was hitting those bottles from maybe about 15 yards. I was hitting those bottles, and real gunfights with pistols are 5 yards. All right, and I was 5 to 7 yards. That's real gunfight range with pistol. All right, I was hitting them at 15 yards. Okay. And I was almost not even aiming. It's almost intuitive aiming. I'm just looking at the target, matching my sights up through my peripheral vision, because I train my ninja vision. I always teach the kids how to train their ninja vision. Even in sword fighting, you have to train your ninja vision, which is your peripheral vision. You open up your vision so you can see everything around, up, down, all spherical, all around, even though you don't stare and look at it directly. But if you're looking at your opponent, you should be able to still see your sights down the peripheral vision, down your the slide of your gun, the sight, down your sight picture, but you don't focus on your sight, you focus on the opponent, because that fool may be moving too in a real gunfight. That idiot may be running around ducking down, he may be hiding behind a bush. You gotta keep your dang eyes on that fool. You don't have time to, right eye open, left eye open, right. Excuse me, sir, could you stand there as I try to shoot you? Yes. Okay, stay right there now. Okay, right eye open, I'm aiming down my, oh yes. Oh, you don't got time for that crap. That's why I hate normal range shooting. I hate it. It's so boring, it's so fake. It's not real. It's not real. Just like I hate fake martial arts. I hate fake gun training. It's supposed to be the highest level martial arts. You gotta keep it real. You got to shoot from different positions. You got to shoot from on your back, upside down. You don't know. You may get shot. You may be on the dang ground on one hand to get shoot. You got to keep it real. I hate this fake crap where every time you go, you're wasting time shooting that 30 minutes. Pyong, 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 pyong. Okay, and I get it. Of course you have to get used to a gun. And you have to get used to actually becoming somewhat accurate. I understand that. But how freaking long are you going to do that? How 20, 30, 40 years? Hurry up, get accurate in a couple days. Get some training with Jerry Hines and learn how to just let that trigger compress and let the gun fire naturally and you'll be accurate. And as soon as you're accurate, you should be training in different positions. You should be training with a little stress. You should be training by running and doing powerlifting moves and then do your shooting. You should be training while moving. You see how even when we're doing pistol shooting, we're saying stop, we move, boom, we move, boom, we move, boom, we move, boom, we move as we're shooting. Because you don't want to stand there, even the chief was saying, you don't want to stand there going, freeze, bam, 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 oh, you're going to get shot. If the guy's shooting back, you're going to get shot. Just like boxing, you won't just say, stay there, let me punch you. The guy's going to punch back, so when he punches back, you got to move. And that's how Chief explains it. It's like he always uses the example of boxing. You don't stay still. When he was a Green Beret, he would use a running tactic, and he would run and shoot towards, at different angles of this opponent. So even gun training is so fake. But we have to be real in Chun Eagle. Chun Eagle has to do real martial art training. Real martial art training. So you got to practice from all different angles. You got to practice on your back. What if you get knocked back? What if you trip and you're falling backwards? And now you're on your back with your rifle. You got to be able to shoot between your legs. You got to be able to swing around and get to the side. Get to a fetus position and start shooting from the fetus position and then switch to prone. And then get back up. You got to be able to do these things. What if you broke a rib? Now you got to shoot with your left hand. You see what I'm saying? Or broke a hand or got shot in the hand. Now you got to shoot with your left hand. You got to expand the training sphere. Anyways, so people, you get a little. That's like the first time I've trained in the different positions. Because I'm always told, no, it's so dangerous. Shut up! It's as dangerous as you make it. It's all in the mind. If you control that safe trigger, and if you control the safety, it's not dangerous. You do the movement, you control the safety, you have the finger discipline, and you shoot. And then you change your position, and then you put the safety on, flick it back down, and then you shoot. It's not dangerous. It's the mind that's blocking all this. So anyways, that's the kind of fun training, man. And honestly, gun training is so much more fun when you can move around. It's so much more enjoyable and dynamic and cool. Not because it's trendy, it's because it's what real gunfighters have to do. I'm not saying that insulting the other people. I'm some kind of real gunfighter that fought in Vietnam or that. I did, but we learned from people who did. You may have to shoot from multiple positions. Like for example, this whole set right here that we do in the different positions where we sprawl and then shoot from our side. We do this in high repetition when we do the tactical CrossFit training. We do this, but we do this obviously with no gun. But we do the positions, different prone. We jump up to the knees, then jump up to kneeling position and shoot. The only difference is I'm actually shooting with 223 rounds with an AR-15, getting rounds down range. But all these things we've been doing in repetition, form after form after form after form. Okay? So it's much more fun and enjoyable to shoot that way too. I'm going to start incorporating running. I'm going to start incorporating lifting heavy things, getting yourself tired, and then bringing your gun forward and shooting. I'm going to incorporate starting shoot. Boom, boom. When this is done, you drop it. You drop all your, let's say that's your last mag, you drop it, and then you have to extract your pistol. I'm going to train all that. And it's not dangerous. It's just as dangerous as standing there with an isosceles shooting. It's just as dangerous. All you need is body control and proper finger discipline. It's just as dangerous as doing anything. I run around with this gun. I make it a purpose to when I'm running around doing tactical CrossFit training to keep my damn gun on me so I can feel it running around and feel it getting in the way and all this crap when I'm moving big tires and lifting stuff, and I got this AR-15 hanging and hitting me, and I got my pistol up on my side and I'm lifting this freaking tire. Even though they're all unloaded at that point. But I train with the stuff on because it has to be real. Just like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has to be real, and this time with the kids. With the ninjas, I taught them, look, even Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, even though it's one of the most realistic martial arts, and MMA is one of the most realistic martial arts, MMA and combat, but still, you got to keep your mind open to all reality. And what I show them? I show them, for example, the art of biting, combined with Jiu-Jitsu. I show them the art of pulling hair, combined with Jiu-Jitsu. I show the art of eye gouging, combined with Jiu-Jitsu. I show them all these things that they're not even thinking about. They didn't even think, it's not even in their consciousness. But I'm saying, that's when somebody's trying to use lethal force, you have to also neutralize them immediately. We practice from the armbar submission control position. If the guy is trying to extract a knife, you have to also pay attention to the other hands because everybody in this area has knives. So you got to be able to stop that, get in the Kimura grip and control that knife. Because one stab in the heart, you're dead. You're dead. One stab in the heart, just like this. Boom! That stab, you're dead. You're one stab and you're dead. You're dead. You cannot recover from a stab to the heart. You can't. You'll be dead in 30 seconds to a minute. And the EMS will not get there in that short of a time. You will be dead. Even if you use a quick clot trauma bandage to stop the bleeding, you'll probably most likely be dead because now your heart cannot pump blood through it to pump it to the rest of your body. One stab, you know how fast a stab is? That's fast. That's how fast it is. That's how fast it is. So you're trying to armbar somebody here, they just go, pow! And you're freaking dead. You are dead. Dead. Do you understand? No other chance, not a video game. You can't wake up, you can't press the reset button. You are freaking dead and we have to bury you in the ground. Your blue, rotting corpse will be in the ground. Young kids don't understand it. Yes, you can die, you dumb kids. You can die. One hit, you can die. So this is the training that we did on Tuesday. I shocked their minds. It shocked their mind out of, look, I know BJJ and I know MMA are the highest level of real combat martial arts with no weapons. Okay? But in reality, 40% of fights will have weapons. And you at least better be ready for that as a martial arts warrior. You better be ready. You can't be surprised and you can't be taken off guard. You have to always realize that's a reality in a street fight. It's a reality in a confrontation. And especially if you're going to law enforcement, you have to understand that always you have to think that somebody's has weapon and or you have protect your weapon on you. See, isn't that interesting? So shocking their mind into reality. Because in traditional BJJ, they don't even think about that. Traditional MMA, they're not even thinking about that. They have certain rules, even though it's as realistic as you can get. So we study the art of biting. We study the art of hair pulling. We study the art of eye gouging and striking while getting submissions, breaking grips while with strikes, striking the groin, pulling the groin, tearing the fingers. All these kind of things we looked at because they're realities, not so I can pretend I'm badass and have the ninjas pretend kids there pretend they're badass. No, because this is also a reality. It's part of a reality of what may happen in combat when this guy is jacked up and he doesn't want to lose to you and wants to kill you. There's me on my rant. We'll be right back after a short break. Stay with us. There's me ranting.
You're the bright and morning sun. To show you love, there's nothing you won't do. You light up the sky, you light up the sky. Show me you are with me. No, I'm lost in dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. He's roaring like a lion. Let heaven roar and fire fall. Come shake the ground with the sound of revival. Let heaven roar and fire fall. Come shake the ground with the sound of revival. Let heaven roar and fire fall. Come shake the ground with the sound of revival. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. He's roaring like a lion. He's roaring alive. He's roaring like a lion.
God's not dead.
Let love explode and bring the dead to life. A love so bold to see a revolution somehow. Let love explode and bring the dead to life. A love so bold to bring a revolution somehow. Now I'm lost in your freedom, and this world I'll overcome. My God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. He's roaring like a lion. Let hope arise and make the darkness hide. My faith is dead, I need a resurrection somehow. Now I'm lost in your freedom, and this world I'll overcome. My God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. He's roaring like a lion. He's roaring. Let heaven roar and fire fall. Come shake the ground with the sound of revival. Let heaven roar the ground with the sound of revival. Let heaven roar and fire fall. Come shake the ground with the sound of revival. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. He's roaring like a lion. He's roaring like a lion.
God's not dead.
Let love explode and bring the dead to life. A love so bold to see a revolution somehow. Let love explode and bring the dead to life. A love so bold to bring a revolution somehow. Now I'm lost in your freedom. And this world I'll overcome. My God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living. It's falling on my skin. Oh God, will you come close? You light up the sky. You light up the sky to show me you are with me. I can't deny.
And we are back. Welcome back to the King's Report this Friday, September 29, 2017. I'm your host, Hong Sean Moon, the second king of China Yuguk. Let's go now to Steven Seagal exposing the deep state coup. Here's him on Good
elections,
Morning
or even
Britain.
that the Russians have that kind of technology is stupid.
So we got a bunch of global.
We have these, Democrats that have this whole other agenda to kind of, when I say Democrats, it's not just the Democrats, but there are this whole group of leftover Obamaites and people who feel that they should really sort of kind of overthrow Trump. And any decisions he makes, anything that he tries to do, he gets blocked so often from, sort of the enemies within. So it's very difficult for him to do anything.
But when you see this ongoing debate right now about patriotism, the American flag, the anthem, black football players taking the knee as a mark of protest about racial division and injustice in America, do you agree with Trump that it's disrespectful, or do you think actually going to one knee is not an entirely disrespectful way of making a point?
I mean, I guess really what I'd like to say is this.
Look at those stupid
I
cowboys.
believe in free speech. I believe that everyone's entitled to their own opinion.
They're
but
not
I
America's
don't agree
football.
that they should
They're
hold
freaking Marxists.
The United States of America or the world hostage by taking a venue where people are tuning in to watch a football game and,
making it political.
Imposing their political views. I think it's outrageous. I think it's a joke. It's disgusting. And, I respect
Steven
the American
Seagal.
flag, and I myself, have risked my life countless times for the American flag, and I don't understand or agree with this kind of behavior. I think it's an outrage.
There will be some people, Stephen, who will be watching this interview. He's saying that and think you sound like a great patriotic guy, but they'll also see you in Moscow and being very complimentary about Vladimir Putin, who many Americans believe fixed the US election, which is why Donald Trump became president. How do you juggle the fact that...
All right, stay right there. We're going to go to break, come back with the next hour, get to that, a bunch of other clips, your calls, guests, you name it. Again, you can't even go to Moscow without being called a Russian.
That and think you sound like a great patriotic guy. But they'll also see you in Moscow and being very complimentary about Vladimir Putin, who many Americans believe fixed the US election, which is why Donald Trump became president. How do you juggle the fact that a lot of fellow Americans are pretty unhappy about this?
Why don't we really be honest here, Pierce? Let's be really honest. Every country is involved in espionage. Every single country. The American spy, the British spy, the Russian spy, we all spy on each other. Let's be honest. However, for anyone to think that Vladimir Putin had anything to do with fixing the elections, or even that the Russians have that kind of technology, is stupid. And, we have a situation here where really all of this is happening, in my opinion, from astronomical propaganda, and this kind of propaganda is really a diversion, from creating a diversion so that the people in the United States of America won't really see what's happening. And I think most of the people in the United States of America and most of the people in Russia want to like each other, and we need each other. Russia and America should be great allies, and that's the way it should be.
Well, I think that's absolutely right. I agree with you. Final question, Stephen. What do you got to...
Piers Morgan agrees.
I just finished a movie called Attrition. It's a movie about human trafficking. It's a movie about kung fu. It's a movie about honor, and great action movie. I'm just doing the post for it in Asia right now. And
all right, so that's Steven Seagal. I want to get him on the show. I'll talk to folks that
Steven Seagal is a patriot, I have to say, and I have to say his martial arts movies are entertaining. They're entertaining, even though they're not really combat based, but they are entertaining. There's a reason why you don't see Aikido and wrist throws like he does in the movies by controlling your wrist, because in real fighting, people will just yank them out and just punch you, sock you in the face. That's why you don't see them in MMA, even though you have big gloves, which you can actually grab, because you have two hands on one hand, the other hand is coming to knock you out. So that's why, of course, you don't see it. Now, can you use wrist locks and these? Of course you can, but they have to more often successfully on the ground. And that's from Brazil Jiu-Jitsu. There is incorporation of Aikido techniques, but it's on the ground when you have the leverage of the ground and or you're trapping the guy between the ground and yourself. Then some points you can use wrist locks with great efficiency, but not when nobody's going to attack you in Aikido. They have the stupidest, the guy running towards you and they attack you like this. Or it's ridiculous. That does never work with a trained fighter. Never, never, never. It's absolutely absurd. So that kind of Aikido is just total bullshmita. But it can be modified to use it in conjunction with a real controlling martial art for example, a ground grappling art like submission grappling, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, etc., there are positions in which you can utilize wrist attacks with great effectiveness. But that was Steven Seagal. And breaking it down, now take a look at this other video here. This young man has made, Army veteran, also has 50 million views. Brandon Tatum completely destroys NFL crybabies. 50 million plus views. Let's take a look at this.
Now understand, let me clarify this for you, okay? It's not about the act of protesting. It's not about the act of believing in something and pursuing it. It's the way you're doing it. I don't know how many times people have to say this. Listen, what does the American flag have to do with your perceived oppression? What does the national anthem have to do with these issues that people are bringing up? It is a separate issue. The flag and the national anthem has nothing to do with what you're talking about.
Infowars got these cool little intro pieces and stuff like that. All right, let's jump to his...
Ladies and gentlemen, you think about the psychology Tatum on the show as that veteran right there.
There he is, he's a veteran.
Brandon Tatum. I didn't go last night and watch The Attack on Me.
Officer Brandon Tatum.
I didn't go watch the HBO shows lying about me or the Showtime shows. I don't even watch the things anymore. People show me little boiled down clips.
American flag have to do with your perceived oppression? What does the national anthem have to do with these issues that people are bringing up? It is a separate issue. The flag and the national anthem has nothing to do with what you're talking about. You're talking about an anthem of hope and unity within this country that have made people become great, that have made the poor become rich and give people opportunities. You're just talking about a flag that represents hard work, dedication, blood, sweat, and tears, sacrifice. And the thing that makes me most upset is that you have these people who turn around and take a knee and want to attribute all the negativity to the flag and the anthem, but don't want to attribute the positive. Listen, if you feel that the American flag represents negativity and slavery and all this other stuff, then you have to give credit and credence to a flag that have given you an opportunity to go from cornfields and picking cotton to being the president of the United States of America. Going from being segregated, can't go to proper schools, can't vote, taking you from that point to now you're making millions of dollars to play sports. And you know who's watching you? White people. I'm sick of y'all coming up with these lame excuses. The reason why America isn't, listen, Martin Luther King had support, you could call it bipartisan support. He had support on both sides, from people in the movement and people outside of the movement, because he did it with respect. He did it without robbing Peter to pay Paul. He did it with integrity. He did it with a mission. He did it with tangible goals that were achievable through hope, faith, and dedication, and unity and connectivity between all of us. These clowns are doing stuff off of trendiness. This is trendy. The issues they're talking about have nothing to do with the flag. You can address those issues at another venue. If you really care about black lives, you don't need to be taking a knee. You need to be out there doing something in the community. If you care about oppression, if you care about laws, then you need to be voting. You need to be putting yourself in position to assist in passing legislation. And one of y'all need to take the step and say, okay, well, I'm gonna join the police department. Do something about it. Quit taking a knee and protesting and crying like a baby. Because at the end of the day, all you're doing is pissing people off. That's all you're doing. I asked the person other day, people cannot answer this question. What has happened since Colin Kaepernick took the first knee? What has happened? Have unemployment changed in the black community? Have black on black crime changed? Have police stopped shooting black people? Tell me what has changed. Has abortion rate dropped? Has recidivism changed? Has dropout rates changed? Tell me what has changed since he took a knee. Somehow there's more entrepreneurs, more opportunities, more jobs. What has changed? Nothing. change. Nothing is going to change. Stop whining like a baby. Suit up, play the sport, play the game, and actually do something about it. Stop dragging the flag in it if you're going to cry about it on one end,
Pause.
but you don't want to get...
My children have been asking me what all this stuff's about, and I don't even know how to address it to them. I just say it's a bunch of people being mind controlled. The people on the field are baby puppets, and that it's trendy to try to break the country up, and then I can just show my children this, and then they totally get it. And that's what's great. This guy needs to run for Congress. I'm telling you, that's not off the script right there. This guy, he can say it. I almost say, they go, it's patronizing, you're calling a black guy smart. No, I call Trump smart. He's a white guy. This guy can crystallize it and really boil it down better than I can. This guy needs to be on talk radio. This guy needs to be on TV. And this guy needs to run for Congress. Because I said, man, this video is really good. I went and watched some of the other ones. Just, he really is amazing. And that's what we need is the truth, folks. He says everything I'm trying to say in hours. It's just so frustrating. It's so stupid. It's so mindless. And the people being chumped into doing it are just that, chumps.
Look at that one. That's a great picture right there. You see that? It brings some context to what those stupid football players are doing. Oh, this is ridiculous. All right, anyways, that's a wonderful video. Over 50 million views on Brandon Tatum, Officer Brandon Tatum, who is a patriot. See, patriots come in all races, creeds, colors. They come in all shapes and forms. But they stand up for sovereignty and for freedom. They respect people who died to defend those things. They're grateful. They have gratitude in their hearts. They're not bitching, complaining little crybabies trying to nitpick about all the negativity that they've been brainwashed to believe. They want to see, and they can see through the propaganda and see that there is tremendous good. The American flag, even though it's been to the growth stage level and the perfection level of the growth stage, and it's the closest to the kingdom that we ever had, that humanity ever had, producing the most prosperity, the most religious freedom, the most freedom of kingly rights, essentially, where you can have guns and territory and private property land, ownership, all those kind of things which you never could have in the history of humanity is just slavery as serfdom and serfdom after slavery after slavery. And yes, the founding fathers weren't perfect, even though they were trying to get rid of their slaves and trying to free them and trying to get rid of slavery for all in America. But Virginia prohibited the releasing of slaves, and also only 1/3 of the founding fathers were actually slave owners. Not to say that doesn't, but that was obviously a sin, and because of that sin, then you have obviously the crushing defeat of the Constitution, which we saw with Hillary Clinton, Obama, you name it. Oh my gosh, give me a break. Silicon Valley elitists start religion to worship artificial intelligence as God. Anthony Lewandowski's way of the future is preparing for the singularity. Look at all these nerd bag beta males who are into technology and computerization and AI as a means by which they want to enhance their masculine power and ability of force so that they can exert and defeat the other alpha males whom they've always lost to. Look at these pathetic idiots who think that by using their brain and by their selfish, narcissistic, evil, psychotic tendencies, by creating artificial AI to enhance their physical power, they can actually take over the world. Which is the reason why in Ninja Turtles, the Ninja Turtles are always fighting against Krang, which is this big brain inside of a robot. Because it's that message, brains defeat bronze. Bronze are very important. You cannot ignore brawn. Bronze are very important in real fight, combat. Are you kidding me? Even because that bronze makes you more likely to engage in combat, which then makes you mentally more tough in combat, which then usually has a correlation to men who are brawny also and have fought a lot are also very mentally tough. It's not these little video game playing skinny beta males that are tough, unless they've been doing training and real fighting. These kind of computer geeks that dream about having power and dream about being Krang and having robots defeat other strong men are the sick, losing, pathetic idiots who literally hate, and many of them, of course, atheists and openly hate religion and Christianity in particular in general, who believe in free sex culture, who want to use technology to enhance and give more sexual options, including free sex culture, you name it. They're using technology as an enhancement to get rid of art K-type individuals. Lewandowski, who's currently embroiled in a high-profile lawsuit with Google over accusations he stole sensitive data about their self-driving car program and gave it to Uber, founded a religious organization called Way of the Future 2 years ago. The goal of the religion is to develop and promote the realization of a Godhead based on artificial intelligence. So basically, he wants to become God. He believes he can become God, create the Godhead based on artificial intelligence, which will not obviously be the Godhead, but will be us. A pathetic, destructive, demonic force that will, in the end, destroy those idiotic computer geeks, in line with the species reaching the singularity, the point at which computers surpass humanity in intelligence. Okay, let's allow lions and tigers and bears to surpass us in intelligence. How do you think that's going to work out for us, Tim?
Not so well.
Let's let alpha predators at the apex of the predation cycle, let's let them have artificial intelligence become smarter than human beings, compute, problem solve at a higher level than us. What the hell do you think will happen to us, huh? Will we maybe become part of the lower food chain now? I mean, isn't this hilarious? I mean, look how suicidal these geeks are. Look how hateful they are of people who want to flourish and who have actually the ability to be alpha people who are good and honest and use that alpha characteristics not to oppress people, but to serve people through businesses, entrepreneurship, and competition. This is ridiculous. These beta male computer geeks are suicidal. And anybody who's a part of their religious organization should be ashamed of themselves because you're in a suicide cult. You are in a death cult. Meanwhile, they're always making fun of Christianity, calling it, oh, well, you drink the body of Jesus, you're cannibals. Oh, you believe in you're a God that resurrected. Give me a break. These people are literally suicidal in their stated goal. Are you kidding me? You want the singularity? Oh yes, the dreamy dream of the singularity, where artificial intelligence, the Frankenstein that we created, surpasses us in intelligence, and then becomes our master. Yes, yes, we want to grovel at AI. Yes, we want to grovel and be beaten and killed and maimed because we love suicide and we love death and we want to die because we hate ourselves and we're geeky computer geeks who never were hugged and just played computer games our whole lives and never got a girl and never were able to succeed in sports, and we're pathetic. That's why we love it that AI can kill us off and kill us all off, because we'd rather get everybody killed than let humans flourish, because we're so pathetic and self-loathing. Great job, you little computer geek nerds. You people are sick. We'll be right back after a short break. Stay with us.
Hi, welcome to Tommy Gun Warehouse. We have a short video for you this afternoon. We want to show you how to work the action on a P380. This is our very small pocket 380 that it has a very strong spring, to work the slide. And this is because it's a very small gun, and we need to have that extra spring tension to actually make the gun work properly. So today I want to show you how to properly work the action. Ladies sometimes find it very difficult, not to mention some men find it difficult to work the slide. Okay, so I just wanted to show you how to hand a firearm to someone properly. The ejection port should be up, the slide is back, and nothing in the magazine well. Then you take this and you hand it to somebody in this manner. They should then verify that it is empty and nothing in the magazine well. And now what I want to show you is how to work the action on this P380. It's sometimes difficult for men and many times difficult for women, but if you know how, it's not that difficult. So Di is going to start out by facing at a 45-degree angle downrange. The gun is going to be, the axis of the barrel is going to be the same axis as her forearm. She's going to keep it closer to her chest, and then reaching over the top with her weak hand, she's going to make sure that this ejection port is clear, that her hand isn't in the way, because you don't want to have an accidental detonation of a primer and injure your hand. So using the upper body strength, you're going to, just work it together, push and pull at the same time, and lock it back. And it's just that simple. You might not get it the first time, but all it takes is a little practice and learning how to use your muscles, and you'll do just fine. Di had started this just a short time ago, and after the third or fourth attempt, she was doing it perfectly. So thanks for listening. Come down and see us at Tommy Gun Warehouse, and we'll show you this P380.
Yes, sir. Let hope arise and make the darkness hide. My faith is dead, I need a resurrection somehow. Now I'm lost in your freedom, and this world I'll overcome. My God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. He's roaring like a lion. He's roaring. Let heaven roar and fire fall. Come shake the ground with the sound of revival. Let heaven roar and fire fall. Come shake the ground with the sound of revival. Let heaven roar and fire fall. Come shake the ground with the sound of revival. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the explode and bring the dead to life. A love so bold to see a revolution somehow. And love explode and bring the dead to life. A love so bold to bring a revolution somehow. Now I'm lost in your freedom. And this world I'll overcome. My God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. Roaring like a lion. Let hope arise and make the darkness hide. My faith is dead, I need a resurrection somehow. Now I'm lost in your freedom. And this world I'll overcome. My God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. Roaring like a lion. Let heaven roar and fire fall. Come shake the ground with the sound of revival. Let heaven roar and fire fall. Come shake the ground with the sound of revival. Let heaven roar and fire fall.
And we are back. Welcome back to King Sport this Friday, September 29th, 2017. Second King broadcasting live from the Chanigong Palace. Keep your crowns and guns, folks. Let's go to the Trump tax plan and David Knight's breakdown from Infowars.com. And David writing his new show called Real News. Awesome. He is an amazing, amazing analytical mind. Let's go to David Knight.
Frankly, all of these companies like Apple that have been stashing money abroad, do we know that they're going to keep that money here? Do we know that they're going to invest that money here? It seems to me it's a big payoff for some of the big multinational corporations. I understand they're saying, well, we could get that capital back in this country, but these are the same companies that are going around and demanding massive subsidies. People like Apple and Amazon, people like Elon Musk especially, they come around and they say, well, you know, make it worthwhile for me. Of course, Elon Musk has gotten about $4 billion. We had Apple
That's
just
ridiculous.
get a concession from a
That's
Midwestern
$4,000 million.
paying them $1 million or $2 million per employee. I forget which one it was. I know that they got $1 or $2 million, and then they turned around per employee that they were going to add there from that state, and they turned around and gave a chunk of cash to the Southern Poverty Law Center. So I can't remember what they were getting $1 million for their employees, and then giving SPLC $2 million, or they got $2 million per employee and turned around and gave around the SPLC $2 million. But I think they got $1 million per employee, and then they gave $2 million to the Southern Poverty Law Center. But anyway, that's the way that it works with these big corporations. So I'm not too happy about that. I know that's something's been talked about a great deal. That was something that was part of the Trump agenda when he ran. Personal tax changes are going to change the bottom individual tax rate to 12%. It is currently now 10%, but they believe that it's going to include people who are in the 15% marginal tax bracket. So they're going to have fewer tax brackets. So they'll probably take the people that were making the income ranges that were at the 10% bracket plus the income ranges that were in the 15% tax bracket. They'll combine those into one tax bracket, charge it 12%, that type of thing. There's going to be a middle tax bracket, but they don't know what income levels that's going to be. A middle tax bracket of 25% and a top individual tax rate of 35%. The current rate is 39.6, so it's about 40% almost. So they're going to save about 4.5% at the top range. But then they're going to take the standard deduction and they're going to double that. And that's what we're saying. They're going to eliminate most itemized deductions and they're going to give you a bigger standard deduction. They say about the only deduction that's going to be preserved in itemized deductions is going to be for charitable gifts and home mortgage interests. So they're not going to give you anything for health care, health insurance. You don't get much now. You can't deduct any health care insurance out of your income. Isn't that interesting? It's so important that we have health insurance, but they won't let us deduct it when we pay for it ourselves. Would they be lying to us about how they see that this is a priority? And of course, if you have massive health insurance, health care costs, even if you itemize, not everybody has enough itemized deductions that they can even do it. But if you can use a Schedule A and itemize, you are going to have the first, depending on your age, you're going to have the first 7 to 10% excluded of your adjusted income, and then you're going to be able to deduct some of that if you itemize, only if you itemize. They should be giving us tax credits when we buy health insurance, tax credits for health care. They ought to do it in the form of a health care fund that you can do and that you can set aside. That was one of the things that was in President Trump's proposal when he was running for president, to allow us to have health savings accounts that we could use to have purchasing power in a free market. But of course, we're a long ways from having a kind of a free market in health care. That's the only thing that we see now is this removing the restrictions of purchasing and across state lines. Then they would also eliminate the estate tax. And this is something that really gets the Democrats upset, eliminating the death tax. Understand that it is not simply a tax for the wealthy. This is something that really affects small businesses. It wipes them out. It affects small farms. It makes people who have small farms have to sell their farms, frequently under distress because they've got to do it very quickly because of tax issues, because they don't have the cash to pay a massive death tax on the farm when they pass along. So they got to put it up for sale. It's in principle, I disagree with the estate tax because of that, and I think it should be gotten rid of, and I think it's a great thing. It's always, Republicans always take it out, the Democrats always put it back in. And put this in the context of the record taxes that have been collected through August of this year. This is at the top of the Drudge Report, saying that they have had a record total tax revenues for the first 11 months of this fiscal year. They have brought in just under $3 trillion in taxes, and they have spent $3.6 trillion. Leaving a deficit of $600 billion. It continues to go up. And what they're going to do is they're going to have a $6 trillion tax cut. So that deficit is going to start to climb at an ever faster rate. See, if we don't have spending cuts, and nobody's talking about that, right? That's real unpopular. Spending cuts. It's hard enough to get the Democrats to get behind tax cuts. Everybody wants to see their taxes cut, but then they get into this politics of envy. But nobody is talking about cutting the welfare state. And as I've said before, it is the welfare state and it is the understanding that there's going to be amnesty. The fact that you can come here, you don't have to go through a legal process. You can just come here. Nobody's going to send you home. They'll probably, at some point, when it gets to be a big problem, like it is right now, they'll say, yeah, we're just going to forget about all that. We're going to grant amnesty to everybody. You can stay forever. So that's a magnet that pulls people in. The other thing that pulls them in is the welfare state. The welfare state. And if we don't stop the welfare state, whether we have illegal immigration in uncontrolled amounts or not, it will destroy this country. Here's an example of it. Okay, we've got the teachers demanding $3,200 from each Kentucky household in order to fund a teacher pension plan for just another 2 years. In Kentucky, their public pension funds are anywhere from $42 to $84 billion underfunded. See, this is not a liberal blue state like Illinois. This is Kentucky. And they have a underfunding of their pension plans between $40 and $84 billion. And the Lexington Herald Leader says that Kentucky's 365,000 teachers and other public employees are now demanding that taxpayers contribute a staggering $5.4 billion, which works out to $3,200 for every household just for the pension plan over just a 2-year period. See, that's the bill of the dreamers. We cannot continue to educate everybody in the world at our expense and have any homes or anything left. Another example, Washington Examiner says $135 billion a year for illegal immigration. That averages $8,075 each, and it is $25,000 in New York. They say the swelling population of illegal immigrants and their kids is costing American taxpayers $135 billion a year, the highest ever. That's for free medical care, for education, and that's the teachers that we're paying for and their pensions, huge law enforcement bills, and it's the biggest in the states that are now complaining about this tax plan, and we'll tell you why when we come back. Stay with us.
And that is David Knight breaking down the tax plan that Trump is now starting to work on. Of course, there's going to be a process before it gets passed and gets through the nutbag Capitol Hill politician class, political elite class, which is always trying to block everything the man does. Let's go to Mark Dice and his new video. Chuck Todd proves he's a complete idiot.
I'll play the clip in just a moment. MSNBC's Chuck Todd has proved that he knows less than nothing about the rights that we have as Americans. Here he is complaining about Roy Moore, who's running for Senate in Alabama in a runoff election, hoping to fill Jeff Sessions' seat.
Who won?
He was appointed to the Attorney General, leaving that seat vacant when he made really one of the most asinine comments that I've heard all week.
Roy Moore, where the phrase Christian conservative doesn't even begin to describe him, could very well be your next U.S. Senator. And if you don't understand just how freaked out some folks in the GOP and the White House are about what that means, then you don't know Roy Moore.
Sounds like you're the one that's freaked out, Chuck.
First off, he doesn't appear to believe in the Constitution as it's written.
Our rights don't come from government. They don't come from a Bill of Rights. They come from Almighty God.
Now, that's just a taste of what are very fundamentalist views that have gotten him removed from office twice as Alabama's Chief Justice.
Wait a minute, Mr. Fake News. Let me get this straight. You're saying that he's a fundamentalist, an extremist who doesn't believe in the Constitution because he believes that our rights come from God, not from the government? Let me refer you to the Declaration of Independence, where in the second paragraph it starts off saying, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator, with a capital C, meaning God, with certain unalienable rights," meaning rights that you can't take away, meaning the rights were given to us by the Creator, not government. Among those are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Does that ring a bell, Chuck Todd? This idea that our basic human rights, our natural rights, come from God, not from the government, is literally the foundational principle of our entire political system in this country. And here's Chuck Todd on MSNBC telling the, I don't know, maybe 100,000 people watching that that's extremist, that that's un-American. We don't call you fake news for nothing, you scumbag. So that's what's going on over at MSNBC. Just more madness as usual. And since we're talking about the news, let's do some channel surfing and see what's happening over at CNN, the most trusted name in news. Shall we?
We have a white supremacist president of the United States. He's encouraging white supremacists, and the fact is...
Okay, the fact is that it's just the same old nonsense over there as well.
It's not about respect for the flag. It's about fanning the flames of racial hatred, and this president is a master of that. And that's the reason why he's playing the plantation politics. He thinks apparently that he is the slave master of black people in the NFL, of black people in the country. He's attacking Jamel Hill and Colin Kaepernick, and he's attacking Steph Curry. He's attacking black athletes and black sports figures.
Well, looks like the regularly scheduled programming of race baiting and anti-Trump insanity over there as well. Let me just check Facebook quick before I go. Looks like Mark Zuckerberg just posted a new status update. I want to respond to President Trump's tweet this morning, claiming Facebook has always been against him. Every day I work to bring people together and to build a community for everyone. We hope to give all people a voice and create a platform for all ideas. Wait a minute, Mr. Zuckerberg, all ideas? Then why did you delete one of my posts and suspend me for 3 days, locking me out of my account because I said that this man who just had a baby but identifies as the child's mother makes me want to puke? Go watch my previous video on that to get the whole story. There's a link in the description below. Oh wait, what's this? Oh, that's right, it's one of those stories from last year, after several Facebook employees went public and admitted that the company regularly suppressed conservative news from trending in the trending topics and also falsely injected topics about Black Lives Matter and other liberal causes that they wanted to trend but weren't trending organically. This from Gizmodo. Facebook workers regularly suppressed stories of interest to conservative readers from the social network's influential trending news section. Several Facebook news curators, as they were known internally, also told Gizmodo that they were instructed to artificially inject selected stories into the trending news module, even if they weren't popular enough to warrant inclusion, or in some cases weren't trending at all. In other words, Facebook's news section operates like a traditional newsroom, reflecting the bias of its workers and the institutional imperatives of the corporation. These new allegations emerged after Gizmodo last week revealed details about the inner workings of Facebook's trending news team, a small group of young journalists, primarily educated at Ivy League or private East Coast universities, who curate the trending module on the upper right-hand corner of the site. By the way, there's an entire chapter on
I'm sure
Facebook
there's no
censorship
bias from them, the Ivy Leaguers and the East Coast trained journalists. Getty Images photo agency whitewash pissed off NFL fans. Few photos of outraged fans released, but plenty of anti-Trump photos available. Look at these. Very few anti-Trump photos, which appear to be the majority, but really are not. Look, they don't show the pictures of Latinos holding Trump signs, silent majority stands with Trump. Proud American I stand. They don't show those. They don't show people burning the stupid chiefs as they took the knee in defiance and arrogance against the flag. Just such a political charade, degrading the NFL from a sports to a stupid political Marxist bread and circus show. We'll be right back after the short break. Stay with us.
Time after time, you're my refuge. You heal every scar. You guard. Come shake the ground with the sound of revival. Our God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not the sound of revival. Let heaven roar and fire fall. Come shake the ground with the sound of revival. Let heaven roar and fire fall. Come shake the ground with the sound of revival. Our God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. He's roaring like a lion. He's roaring like a lion.
God's not dead.
Let love explode and bring the dead to life. A love so bold to see a revolution somehow. Let love explode and bring the dead to life. A love so bold to bring a revolution somehow. No, I'm lost in your freedom. And this world I'll overcome. My God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. He's roaring like a lion. Let hope arise and make the darkness hide. My faith is dead, I need a resurrection somehow. No, I'm lost in your freedom. And this world I'll overcome. My God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. He's roaring like a lion. He's roaring. Let heaven roar and fire fall. Come shake the ground with the sound of revival. Let heaven roar and fire fall. Come shake the ground with the sound of revival. Let heaven roar and fire fall. Come shake the ground with the sound of revival. Fighting my battles, fighting my battles.
And we are back. Welcome back to the King's Report. This Friday, September 29th, 2017. We are now joined with Pastor Gilson Oliveira, Continental Director of South America for Sanctuary, who is pastor in Sao Paulo, Brazil, president of the church in Argentina, and regional leader in Central America. Worked with outreach programs in New Jersey and the Spanish church as well. Moved to America in 1997, lived in Florida since 2010. Gilson, thank you for joining us this morning from sunny Florida.
We have a very warm weather over here. Beautiful.
Yes, and now during the break we were talking about, when you moved here, compare with your life in America compared to your life in Brazil, just politically in terms of you have all these situations with the NFL, all these people, taking a knee, disrespecting the anthem. I mean, do they know how blessed they are to have this much freedom, even though American government has become corrupt and has become really decrepit? There's still a fight. There's still a fight for sovereignty here. And you see a whole wave with the Trump revolution and people trying to get back power locally. We just got Judge Moore in, who is a strong conservative, not the establishment candidate, who is standing up for libertarian conservative values. This kind of reality, people are starting to fight back. The American people are trying to take back their country and take it away from the, pathway of the neocons that were trying to push us into globalism and push us into world government and have the UN rule over us as an international body. In Brazil, what is the political state of affairs in Brazil? Do they have a more, of course, we know it's very corrupt. We know it's very economically depressed right now. We know they lean heavily towards socialism. What is your take on Brazil and its current state amidst all those Latin American dictators and communist nations?
Well, in Brazil could be actually a case study because could be the future of United States if the politics over here continue to lean towards the left. In Brazil right now, there is no party on the right. They're all left. And the reason it started with the influence of Cuba. Cuba and in the 70s and 80s.
Oh boy.
We still had
this idiot.
those days.
Colin Kaepernick, this idiot, is running around with Cuba Fidel Castro t-shirts thinking it's cool. I mean, it's ridiculous.
So in the 60s, we had a military dictatorship that started in 64 until 85, and basically was a way to save Brazil from being another Cuba. And I grew up I went to high school in the 80s, actually in the 70s, and college in the 80s. And I was actually a leftist. I participated in riots, and I was brainwashed in school.
Yeah, that's how they do it. That's how they do it.
By Catholic priests.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. Of course.
They were part of the liberation theology.
There it is, right there.
And they praised Cuba and Soviet Union every day.
Oh my gosh! Give me
that
a
was
break.
Our paradise. And then in the 82, I actually came to America when I was only 19. I stayed here for a few months on the Reagan years, and I went to learn English, and I went to learn about the country. And I fell in love with the country, and I learned about conservatism. So when I went back to Brazil, I had a very different view of politics.
Now, you were talking about the Brazilian Tea Party. They call it Tea Party, but it's a communist party. Tell us a little about that.
The Workers' Party.
PT. Okay.
PT party. That was a very strong party that started with Lula. That's Luiz Inácio da Silva. He was a worker in São Paulo in the car companies, and he started to form basically what you call sindicato. That's labor unions.
Okay.
He always criticized the government, and the government was always corrupted in Brazil. So they used this criticism to get in power. But he had all the support of Fidel Castro and all the communists. And they were very radical, very strong in college. And we had some fights and discussions. Usually end up with, I'm going to see you on the wall. That meant when they're going to bring me to the fire squad, the wall.
Oh, I see. Yeah, because the communists are so liberal and trendy and open-minded, they just murder and massacre and genocide anybody who disagrees with them.
And
oh, Lord mercy.
There was all kinds of newspapers in college. We had even North Korean newspapers in Brazil. Just for you to have an idea.
Really?
Oh, yes. There's a lot of communist education in Brazil. And so this basically drove Brazil to vote for Lula in 2003. And he was in power until 2011. Now, during this period, the commodities in Brazil made a lot of money because the soybean, and Brazil became one of the countries that most produce grains and became really rich. And also they found a lot of reserves of iron, oil, and because Brazil had so much money, now the Communist Party that was in power, they took a lot of money. Now the people, they have some estimates, maybe around 230 billion real. So it's around.
Sounds like Hillary Clinton.
That's that would be enough to solve most of the economic problems in Brazil.
Now, are there any political uprising movement, more populist, more nationalistic organization, movements that are rising up saying, hey, we got to take back our country. Hey, we need sovereignty. Hey, we got to stop the censorship, surveillance, the spying, the militarization of the police. All that we know is plaguing Brazil, the controlled economies, the central banks. Is there a political party that's starting to rise up and grow in power to stand against the globalism that the elites are pushing worldwide?
In 2008, we had the largest rallies all over the country in protest against the corruption. And it continued in 2013, also one of the largest rallies. And then Dilma, that was the successor of Lula, also from the PT party, she was impeached finally. And in March of 2014, they started to investigate a small gas station in Curitiba, Paraná, because they were laundering money. And they arrested some people, and they made a deal with them so they would cooperate. And they arrested more people, and they also cooperate with the police. And this starts to grow and grow and grow. And they end up arresting so far 160 people. They recovered 4 billion real, and 93 people were actually convicted of a crime. And these were very rich people, like the owner of Odebrecht, that's one of the biggest contractors in Brazil.
Biggest monopolies.
$100 billion company.
They're all monopolies. They all collude with government
Oh,
to
yes.
make it profitable for themselves and destroy the competition. It's the same old program everywhere.
He was arrested and convicted and got 19 years in prison.
90 years in prison?
No, 19.
19, okay.
19
That's
years in
interesting.
prison.
That happens frequently in Korea too. You know, they get these big chaebols, which are the big conglomerate monopolies, and they put them into prison for like a show. They just do it as a show. And then 1 month later, he's out. You know, they always say it's a 30-year conviction, but then the guy's out in like, you know, he's got some pardon or he's got some stupid thing. And the guy's out in like 10 days.
I'm not sure if this is going to happen in Brazil because this judge, Sergio Moro, he is really very strong and he's a descendant of Japanese.
Really?
He studied in Harvard.
Oh, yes. I remember. Yeah, there was a huge Japanese population when I went to Brazil many times. Massive Japanese population down there.
Yeah, it's like a 1.5 million Japanese.
Yep.
And many of the federal police that are actually doing the arrests are descendant of Japanese also.
Interesting. Because in order to stand up against the elites in Brazil, I mean, you're talking about very corrupt mafia, but the government, of course, is the biggest mafia. But they have literally death squads that they can utilize, the police force, the Brazilian Secret Service for. They can literally kill anybody they want. If this judge is standing as he's facing all odds, and he's risking his life.
Oh no! In January 19 of this year, the Supreme Court justice called Teori Savasky, his small aeroplane just fell out of the air, and he died.
Oh yes, just by chance, of course.
By accident, yeah.
Mechanical failure. It's always a
Mechanical failure,
Oh Lord, that's why they want you to have AI technology and have driverless cars and driverless planes. So at a push of the button, it can disappear you into the Pacific Ocean.
Also, the PT party, they tried to take out all the guns of Brazil.
Of course. Now in Brazil, you have a lot of gun regulation in Brazil. I don't think you can carry a gun. I don't think
it would be very rare. Maybe some security guard can carry a gun. But even to have a gun in your house is very hard. So in 2005, there was an election.
Disarmed population, yeah.
Yeah, and they voted against banning the guns. But then they created laws to make it really hard to get a gun. So you have to apply for a permit to have a gun in your house. All the guns are basically registered in Brazil. They charge 1,000 real, that's around $350. And but then you have to explain the reason that you need the gun. And self-defense is not a reason.
Defensa pessoal.
Self-defense is not a reason. You have to have another reason, some threat or the fact that you are carrying valuables, some reason. So it has been really difficult for people to get permits. Also, hunting in Brazil is not allowed. It's illegal. There's no hunting in Brazil.
Really? Wow.
No hunting. I grew up.
All the things that they shut off the epigenetics and allow good people to try to protect themselves is stolen, taken away.
The only state that allows hunting is the state from the south, Rio Grande do Sul. And the reason they allow, it's only hunts of ducks in one area because there's an overpopulation and they eat the rice on the rice plantations. So they allow them to hunt for a period of time.
Well,
and only hunting.
Oh, goodness. And of course, you're warning that America, if they continue to follow the pathway of Hillary Clinton and the leftist lunatics, that we one day could be and end up like not only Venezuela, but like how Brazil is. We pray that Brazil can start a populist trend that can fight their way out of this. And of course, if the US is able to do so and pull out of globalism and the world government, that will only help other nations and set the example and tone for other nations also to fight for their own sovereignty. We'll be right back after this short break with more with Gilson Oliveira and Tim Elder after this. Stay with us.
I'm down here at the range today. I just learned a new technique from the father of the .44 Magnum, Elmer Keith, which is called shooting out of the notch, which allows you to make really long distance shots and still have an extremely precise sight picture. So I brought my CW9 car down, and with this little gun, we're gonna shoot this little munchkin at 200 yards up in the hills, applying this technique, and hopefully we'll make the shot. To apply this technique, instead of using the blade of the front sight lined up with the top of the rear sight, I'm going to take the dot of the front sight and raise it up so that it's out of the notch, but I'm still going to keep the front sight on my target. Bringing that front sight up like that is going to compensate for the bullet drop over that excessively long distance with just this little gun. So if applied right, we should be making contact. Let's see how it goes. I saw this shot, so I'm a little bit out of breath because you gotta run to make sure that is what I thought it was, and it was. So while making this shot, from that distance with these white dot sights, it literally would cover the entire target. You couldn't see what you were shooting. So using the Elmer Keith technique, you were able to raise it out of the back notch. I can't breathe. Out of the back notch, allowing you to keep your accuracy, aim, and also still see the target, which is key because it was a hard shot, not gonna lie. But yeah, it went great, and Elmer knows what he's talking about. And for such a small gun to be able to take that hit, I'm very impressed with this. All right, guys, be sure to like and share, and I'll see you out on the range. That was awesome. Hey, can I try that one? Yeah, let's do it with the 380. Does everybody have eyes and ears? I'm down here at the range today. I just learned a new technique from the father of the .44 Magnum, Elmer Keith, which is called shooting out of the notch, which allows you to make really long distance shots and still have an extremely precise sight picture. So I brought my CW9 car down, and with this little gun, we're gonna shoot this little munchkin at 200 yards up in the hills, applying this technique, and hopefully we'll make the shot. To apply this technique, instead of using the blade of the front sight lined up with the top of the rear sight, I'm going to take the dot of the front sight and raise it up so that it's out of the notch, but I'm still going to keep the front sight on my target. Bringing that front sight up like that is going to compensate for the bullet drop over that excessively long distance with just this little gun. So if applied right, we should be making contact. Let's see how it goes. I'm a little bit out of breath because you gotta run to make sure that is what I thought it was, and it was. So while making this shot, from that distance with these white dot sights, it literally would cover the entire target. You couldn't see what you were shooting. So using the Elmer Keith technique, you were able to raise it out of the back notch, I can't breathe, out of the back notch, allowing you to keep your accuracy, aim, and also still see the target, which is key because it was a hard shot, not gonna lie. But yeah, it went great, and Elmer knows what he's talking about. And for such a small gun to be able to take that hit, I'm very impressed with this. All right, guys, be sure to like and share, and I'll see you out on the range.
That was awesome. Hey, can I try that one? Yeah, let's do it with the 380. Does everybody have eyes and ears?
Welcome back to the King's Report for Friday, September 29th, 2017, 8th year of Cheongi, 8th month and the 10th day. I'm Tim Elder, sitting in now for the second king of Cheongi, Hyungjin Moon, and we're here with Gilson Oliveira, who is originally from Brazil, now a resident of the United States and a citizen of the United States, I guess, in Florida. Gilson, during the break, you were telling me about a strike that the police are having. Could you tell us about that? What's going on with that?
Yeah, this happened in February 4 of this year.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole police of one state called Espírito Santo entered in a strike that lasted until February 25. So the interesting aspect of this is that the government controls the guns in Brazil, and the people don't, the good people, the law-abiding people, they don't have guns, and it's very hard for them to have guns. They cannot carry guns. They can have in their houses, but even in their houses, it's difficult to obtain the permit.
So the criminals must have had a field day during the police strike.
Oh yes, the thieves basically control the whole city for 4 days, and they end up killing 199 people on the streets. They didn't allow anybody to go out of their houses. If these criminals caught anybody walking outside, they would just kill them. So they just want to show that they could control the population if the police is not present.
So what happened after the strike ended? Did the police regain control?
Well, the government had to send the army to regain control of the city, the capital. And during this period, they stole 600 vehicles. Were stolen. And most of these people were killed on the first days of the strike, especially on February 6th. They killed 40 people, February 7th. And when everybody stayed at their homes, then less people were killed. And there was no protection because they didn't have guns to protect themselves. So this is a lesson that we should learn. You cannot only rely on the government to protect you.
Yeah. Now, one thing about Brazil that I often hear is that the race relations in Brazil are actually quite good. Can you tell us about that? How does that happen? Because that's one of the things that America has been struggling with, especially now. These protests at the NFL and so forth are related to race relations in America. I wonder if Brazil has anything to teach us.
Yes, Brazil is a very large country. It's size a little bigger than the continental United States without counting Alaska. And has a population of 210 million people.
About 2/3 of the U.S. Okay.
Yes, and around 50%, maybe 51%, it's or either black or mixed. So the reason that there is a lot of mixed marriages is that the Portuguese fell in love with African American women. So they were not racist, and they married them. So the population, the real African American, we have only in one state called Bahia. It's a big state in Brazil, so that would be around 8% of the population that are more, we could say, like African American descendants, and all the others are all mixed. And
so it's a history of interracial marriages then that has brought about a society that has little or no discrimination. Is that what you're saying, or?
Yeah, there's no. I grew up with friends that were from many different races, descendants of Japanese, Italians, Germans, Africans, and most of the people that came to Brazil were from Angola and Mozambique.
Now, did Brazil in the past have a history of slavery?
Oh, yes. Yes, I think even maybe more than here, maybe.
More than here?
Oh, yeah.
But slavery does not exist now?
No.
Okay, so how did that, how is it that go from a slavery to a society with no discrimination?
Basically due to mixed marriages. And I don't know exactly well, basically because the Portuguese that were in Brazil, they didn't have women, not so many women, so they had to marry or native Brazilian or African American.
I see.
So a lot of men came to Brazil, but not so many women. So they married the native Brazilians and married the African descendants. And Brazil became a very mixed culture.
But I wonder, let's look at the elite class in Brazil. Is that also racially mixed, or is it a particular race that dominates the elite class?
I think it's also mixed. It's not. There is racism in Brazil due to money. I mean, there's a big difference between how rich people treat each other and the way. That's a serious problem in Brazil. Discrimination because of economical status. This is a reality in Brazil. Also, the capital of Brazil is in the hands of a small group of the elite, the rich people in Brazil. Also, the land, it's in the hands of big corporations. So there was always, from maybe 100 years, a struggle in Brazil for land, where poor people want to have also land and farm. And the left took advantage of this. Fidel Castro was very good in finding weaknesses in the countries to exploit and introduce his ideology. So there is a big movement in Brazil called Sem Terras, that means landless.
The landless, okay.
Yeah, and when I returned from America on the 80s to Brazil, I started to do a research, and I visited libraries from the liberation theology, and I found very interesting books. No, they made the books very simple with like a cartoon type of book, and the whole idea was based on Moses conquering the promised land. So they showed all these farmers marching with the communist flag and all the tools and invading land, invading farms. And they educated them, and they created a movement that's really big in Brazil. It has 30 years. It's a 1.5 million people movement.
So these people present themselves as being similar to the Israelites moving into Canaan and conquering the lands in Canaan for themselves.
Yes. And they were active. I mean, they invaded farms that they had a big lobby with the PT party, because the PT party was also from the left, also with friends with Fidel Castro. So the PT party made laws saying that if a farm is not producing for a few years, there is no plantation, there is nothing, it can be invaded. And the owner cannot remove the invaders. So they start invading farms, and but because of also politics, sometimes they invaded farms that were producing. And then the government had to send the police, and there were some struggles, sometimes even death. And it became like a very violent movement with time. And recently, because Fidel Castro died and things are changing a little bit, they want to put a better image on the movement. They became more peaceful. So they are only invading farms that don't produce. And they are also dividing the land in small farms, and they are studying new technology to produce. So actually, it has become the most producing lands in Brazil. These small farms from this movement.
I see.
They produce the majority of the groceries, like lettuce and cabbages and all the. But the movement grew up so much that they are also creating schools. They're creating communities, and they're creating schools, and they send the students to study in Cuba.
So is this group, when they take hold of land, do they hand it out? Do they divide it up for their people, or do they hold it in common? Is it kind of a communist, common ownership of land, or is it individual property?
The government regulates the distribution of the land, so they have to divide in lots, and they have to give the deed to the owner of that land.
I see.
But
I'm curious about one thing with the police going on strike and with people invading lands, sometimes in lands that are actually farms are producing. I would think that there would be a call for or movement of people who say, "Hey, we need guns. We need to be able to defend ourselves. We need to be able to defend our land." Is there any kind of movement like that in Brazil? People calling for guns?
Yeah, there is a movement. That's why during the plebiscite, the election, they voted against banning the guns. So they tried to remove all the guns from the population, but they lost Now, the government lost in the election. They created a lot of laws to make it really difficult to have guns, but still, Brazil has 17 million guns in the hand of people legally.
17 million. That's in a country of what do you say, 210 million? That's
Yeah.
not very many.
And 9 million illegally. They calculate that maybe more. We have a problem with the drugs in Brazil, especially in Rio de Janeiro. The drug lords, they created bunkers with machine guns, and they took over parts of the slums of Rio de Janeiro. And the police had to call the army to solve the problem. So the army had to bring even tanks to invade to be able to enter the bunkers. They had huge castles. With
That's amazing. It's like, it sounds like a war.
Oh yes, there was a war for a few months. So the criminals in Brazil are very powerful, and they have the help of sometimes the help of the police.
So the criminals are, I guess, because of the drug money, the criminals are able to bribe the police. I suppose.
Yeah. Some big leaders were arrested, and they escaped like in a week.
Now, does this have anything to do with this recent scandal that's going on, where you say 160 politicians and business leaders have been arrested?
No, these are different. These are.
You said it was money laundering. I think you said it was, wasn't it?
This is it involves Petrobras, the oil company of Brazil, and they. Just for you to have an idea, one of the payments that they did to an American company paid the government to have them contracted, to buy the contract. They paid under the table $8 billion. $8
billion?
Yes, it's
that's
like
quite a bribe.
But an envelope and just slide.
Yeah, that's a few suitcases. Yeah,
few suitcases.
Yeah,
It's more like a house.
Trucks, a house or a truck. Yeah,
it's a lot of money.
What did they get in? What did they get in? What did they get for $8 billion? A contract?
Oh, a contract, yes. Because Brazil found one of the largest reservations of oil in the Atlantic.
I see.
It's one of the largest in the world. So there was a lot of a competition among oil companies. And the one that won the contract, they actually paid the government for the contract.
Actually, in America, it's illegal to give bribes to foreign companies or foreign governments, and I wonder if that company was prosecuted here in America.
I don't know. This was on the news over here, even on the New York Times.
Oh, it was in the New York Times. Okay.
There's news all over. Because it was a big scandal at the time. Maybe they even lost the contract. I have no idea.
I hope they did. Yes, if it was to reveal that they paid for it. Yes.
Most of these people were arrested, and Dilma, she's the head of Petrobras, and she became the president of Brazil, also from the PT party, and she was impeached. And now the the Temer, that was the vice president, now is the president, and he is being also investigated.
Okay. All right, Jocelyn, we've come to the end of our broadcast. I want to thank you for being with us this morning and to give us some information on what is going on in Brazil and to give us an understanding of how we can improve, I guess, perhaps improve race relations here in America through interracial marriage.
Yeah, that would be the best way.
That would be the best way. Of course, we have experience with that in our movement, so we need to further that. Right, and also a lesson on how we need to make sure we keep our gun rights because we don't want the country to fall into a situation, like you said, where it's a war between the police and the criminals, where the people who are basically unarmed and have to be on the sidelines and being killed when the police go on strike. Thank you very much. And I want to thank everyone who joined King's Report this morning. And I'll be back tomorrow morning, Saturday morning, for another King's Report, 5 a.m. So God bless, Godspeed, and may His kingdom come.
May this offering stretch across the skies. These hallelujah be multiplied. Your love is like radiant diamond bursting inside us. We cannot contain. Your love will surely combine us like blazing wildfire, singing your name. God